Danielle Kelly and I should just go to the deli and get a sandwich and just give the floor to Matt for the next 15 minutes.
He's going to wax poetic here. I can't wait.
The Cleveland Mees, and I am very, very excited about this team this year. Free agent signings were amazing for this team. They brought in safety John Johnson, a guy that I don't know if a lot of people know how good this guy is, but he is awesome, and he is going to instantly step in and be an impact guy for them in the secondary. Defensive end Jadeveon Clowney as well gets brought in. They bring in Troy Hill as well, a corner that's going to help out in the slot for them. They brought in Terrence Mitchell as a corner as well. He's just going to be there for depth. Tack McKinley, defensive end, he's really just going to be a rotation guy for them. They brought in Malik Jackson as well as a defensive tackle. Anthony Walker's a linebacker they brought in for depth that will be there for them on the defensive side of the ball. So you can see where they really focused on the defensive end for the free agency period. And then if you look on the draft pick side, first pick, corner, Greg Newsome. Then they go linebacker. Then they go wide receiver Anthony Schwartz. And you might not be super familiar with Anthony Schwartz, a third-round guy that they took here. He comes out of Auburn. Didn't put up like the crazy huge numbers.
If you've ever seen him play, you remember him.
Yeah, he never put up like the super crazy numbers at Auburn, but he's a track guy. And so when you look at this, was a draft pick for a purpose here, because when you have Jarvis Landry, who is one of the best, if not the best, possession receivers in the NFL, but he's not running. He's not a speed guy. Then you got Odell coming back, and you don't really know exactly how much this injury is going to affect Odell. I mean, he used to be one of the fastest guys in the league. You don't really have that, but so now you bring in this track guy, and when I say track guy, at his pro day, he ran a 4.2640. That 4.2640 was the fastest of anybody in all of the pro days that was tracked. So, I mean, a 4.2640. So he brought in for a purpose. He's the guy. He's the field stretcher guy. And we talked about this when we talked about the Raiders. Listen, sometimes a guy can be out there just as a decoy, and he's not necessarily there to catch a ton of passes, but they have to account for him, because if they don't, then they can just throw it over the top. And that's kind of what you get now with Schwartz is teams going to have to play the deep ball. And then you're going to have Odell and you're going to have Jarvis Landry underneath. And so really strategic draft pick by them, and I think was a really good one. DVOA, they finished 9th offense last year, but 25th on defense. But again, on the defensive side of the ball, they were just really ravaged by injuries. We'll talk about that in just a second. ESPN has them ranked as the 3rd best roster in all of the NFL as we enter the 2021 season. Pro Football Focus pretty much agrees. Power rated 8th overall in 2021, projected at 10.2 wins with a 7% chance of winning the Super Bowl, a 73% chance of making the playoffs. Number 1 graded offensive line heading into the season in all of football. They returned all 5 starters from an offensive line that was 1st in pass blocking grade last year and 2nd in run blocking grade last year. 4 of the starting 5 offensive linemen graded at the top 2 at their position.
Say that again?
4 of the 5 offensive line graded out at the top 2 at their position.
Goodness.
They return all 5. So Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, J.C. Treader, Joel Bettino, all these guys are absolute studs. They had a rookie in Jedrick Wills that played left tackle last year. He wasn't that great run blocking wise. Like, his run blocking grade was kind of down there, and he was the weak link there, but actually was a very, very good pass blocker, especially for a rookie. And you also expect him to just get better in year 2 here. ESPN also projects him as the number 1 pass block win rate team in all of the league in 2021. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, again, huge upgrades here. They bring in a lot of hate for Clowney, and we even kind of joked. We were saying, like, do you get the South Carolina Clowney or whatever? But there was a lot of injury stuff that he's been dealing with. And so when he's been healthy, he's actually graded out in the 86th percentile in the pass rushing grade over the 5 seasons he's been in the league, and the 97th percentile in rush defense since he's been in the league. Of course, now you pair him up with Myles Garrett, and with those 2 guys being on the end, teams are going to have to account for this. So, there shouldn't be a ton of double teams on Garrett or Clowney, which should give them a lot of one-on-ones, which you think they're going to win a lot of times as well. And then, of course, Malik Jackson comes in as a defensive lineman to really plug up the center there. They get Andrew Billings back as a defensive lineman as well. He opted out for COVID in 2020. So not only do they bring in this, they're getting guy back from COVID opt-out as well. And again, they signed Tack McKinley, as you talked about, who he just going to rotate for Garrett and Clowney when they need a breather, right? So now you have a guy that's coming off the bench in Tack McKinley, who's like just going to be the guy who's giving the other guys a breather. I mean, the defensive line should be absolutely fantastic for this team. And then the secondary, I mentioned bringing in John Johnson at safety. Now you have Troy Hill, who's going to play the slot nickel corner position. Those are both immediate starters for this team that they signed in free agency. They get back Greedy Williams, who, by the way, didn't play a snap last year because of injury. They get back Grant Delpit, their draft pick last year, who did not play
from
a single.
Both of those guys.
Both of those guys from LSU Tigers there. Both missed the whole season due to injury. Now, Delpit, it is an Achilles injury for Delpit. We have someone on the desk who well knows about it, these Achilles injuries. That said, it seems like these athletes, the Achilles injuries, it's like, oh no, just
the past.
We're good to go with these things.
Let me tell you something. What's the Shaq thing? 39 ain't 29. Trust me, the first one when you're young, way easier to get past.
And so, I mean, this is an Achilles injury for Delpit, but looks like he's going to be good to go, and he's going to be ready to rock for this team. And then they drafted Greg Newsome in the first round at corner as well. And so it's just this embarrassment of riches that they have on the defensive side of the ball that I really and truly believe is, on paper, one of the top 3 defenses in all of the NFL. And so really this comes down to what we did not see. And what we did not see was a really good connection between Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham. And that's like, on the offensive side of the ball, that's really what this season is going to come down to, because we know that this offensive line is going to get it done for the running backs. But in this league, you can't just run it every single time. I mean, you do have Nick Chubb and you do have Kareem Hunt, probably the best running back tandem in the league as well, to go along with this. But you're going to have some success through the air. You can't just run it all over the place. And so when we kind of like look at what this Browns team, I jumped on the win total. It's all the way up to 10.5 now.
Was 9.5.
Was 9.5. Yeah. So it's moved a full game on this one. I still don't hate it, but a whole game, that's a lot.